Hey, I'm Anfa. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add UI sounds to your Godot game the smart way. And by the way, Godot 4 Beta 4 is apparently very close. So I'm going to be using that. Right. Here is my game. So in the main scene, I have a bunch of buttons and also other elements. I'm going to start the game. And now you'll be able to hear that when I hover over a button, there's a sound. If I click it, there's a different sound. And even of the checkboxes, there are also hover and click sounds. On drop-downs, I was just meaning to show it off, but let's open a different menu. Yeah, all the buttons, these don't, but that's a different thing. So how does it work? There are many ways to do this. There are silly ways and there are smart ways. And I'm going to show you the smart way. At least I think it's the smartest way. That's the smartest way I have come up with. So the first idea I had was, okay, I'm gonna create a new scene that will inherit the button. So if I go and open a piece of menu, maybe let's open the main menu. Okay, it can be main menu. All right, we have the user profile menu. So here's the user profile menu. And as you can see, it has a bunch of buttons like select avatar. This is a button node. So my first idea was, okay, I'm going to create a new node that will extend the button with a functionality to have sounds. So I made a new scene, changed the type of the root node to button. Right, I'm going to rename this to button plus. And I'm going to add a script to that. This is all placeholder, so I'm not caring about the paths. Okay, so now I have a button, and what I can do, I can add audio sound players, audio stream players to this, like, right? Click sound. And then when I have the button, I use the pressed signal, link it to this, and do click sound dot play. And of course I need to assign a click sound. So here is my UI sounds. I'm just going to drag this in. Let's see. It does play. Okay, now if I run this scene, I need to save it. I'm going to just save it here. If I run this scene, sorry, that takes a while. There's a bunch of singletons present in the game. So the button is full screen. I can click it, it makes a sound. Now this won't work in the game. Why? Because, okay, I can change the type of, say, this button to be my new type of button. Well, first thing is we want to go and do change type. But our button plus is nowhere to be found. Why? Well, we need to define a class name for it. So class name button plus. Now if I save the script, go back here, right click, change type, you can see the button plus class, custom class is here. So I can do it. Okay, let's change it. Nice. This is now a It's a button, but it also has the script of button plus. Is it gonna work? Let's see. I'm gonna run this scene, F6. Of course it doesn't work. Why? It doesn't work because we changed the type of the button. It has a script now, but it doesn't has the audio stream player in it, right? There is no audio stream player here, even though it is here. And surely, if we would add just a new child node and make it a button plus from the get-go, maybe it's gonna have it. No, it still doesn't have it, right? So this is not gonna work. What we could do, so this is what I did next time, the next thing I did. The next thing I did was, yeah, pretty much this is just attaching a script. It doesn't do anything. Also, our signals are not gonna be changed. So what I tried next was, okay, I'm gonna get rid of this node here. I'm gonna define my audio stream player in code. I'm gonna spawn it in code. So I'm gonna go click sound equals audio stream player dot new on ready, so that it doesn't try to create this node when it's not possible. And in ready, I'm gonna do click sound dot stream equals, drag this and load. We could use preload, but preload was a bit bugged, so I'm not using it. And then we of course need to add this scene to our node tree. So add child, add child, and we add this, right? This should work. Oh, because it's not gonna work yet because we still need to assign a signal. Our signals are not gonna work either, so we need to assign our signals in code as well. Okay, that's easy. Let's do it before we attach the sound player to the scene tree. So let's go, we can go self dot and now pressed. And see, this is icon indicates this is a signal. We don't need the self, we can just do pressed. Dot connect. Now, how do we make the sound play? Well, in Godot 4, we can use something called lambda functions, which is a function that can be defined as a parameter kind of ad hoc. So I'm going to go do func. Click sound dot play. And this is going to connect the signal pressed of the button to this lambda function, which is going to trigger the playback of the sound. You can also get rid of the process function. We don't use that. I can also get rid of this comment, make it a bit cleaner. Okay, let's try it. Let's run this scene and see what happens now. So everything is defined in code, right? Now, this is the second dumb way of doing this, which I'm showing you. It does work. It plays the sound. Fabulous. Okay, let's do this again. What we could do is change the type of our scene, of our button here. Right, again, change type to button plus. Actually, all it's doing is attaching a script. It didn't attach the script this time. Okay, that's interesting. Button plus. Let's just attach the script, click and drag. Let's hit F6 to run the scene. And will it play the sound this time? It didn't play it the last time. It does play the sound now, right? So that's great. Let's do that for all the buttons and we're done. Well, here's the problem. Do we really want to do this process for every single button? Do we want to assign a script to every single button in our project? Well, we don't. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of room for error. And also we're going to have a bunch of scripts attached. there is no need to do that. Let's clean this up. I'm going to delete the script. Detach the script, and we're going to do it a different way. So no button plus, we're not making a custom scene. What we're going to do is something entirely different. I'm going to just show you what I did, because maybe let's not redo it. I'm going to analyze what I did. So let's delete that. Yay. No button plus anymore. Okay, so what I did is I made a scene with a script. I called it UI sounds. So this, I just put this somewhere in my scene, and it's going to scan my entire scene, find all the buttons, and attach signals to them. So I'm not spawning a bunch of scripts. Also, I'm not spawning a bunch of audio stream players for every single button. I'm just spawning one per sound effect. These 3 are actually not used, so I can just comment them out. So we have just 2 audio stream players for the entire scene of the UI, because we may want to put this into sub-scenes if we're going to spawn them, because this is going to only evaluate the scene and add the nodes on startup. Kola in the chat says, lambdas usually create lots of garbage in memory. Well, we can do it without lambda functions as well. It's going to be a tiny bit more complicated, but lambdas make it easier in this smart implementation I'm going to show you now. But we can do it without lambdas if these are going to cause problems. It makes the code much cleaner and leaner if we can use lambda functions. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to scan our scene tree, but we also need the audio stream player nodes. We could just add them manually, you know, do the audio stream player, attach a sound. So UI underscore, say click, make this the click sound, whatever, right? Make a bunch of these, reference them in code, and then trigger them. We don't have to do that, and actually it's going to be easier for us if we don't, because we can automate it and get rid of a bunch of ways to mess ourselves up, make mistakes, and make our world harder. So we're going to do this all in code. Right. First thing, this is a node, extends a node. We're defining a route path for our search. This is a node path. So this is exported. So in our UI node, we have this route path and we can assign a node. This is useful because we don't have to guess where to start. We don't go from the scene route. It would be nice if we just have this determined to limit the scope of search. So if I go to the main scene of my game where I'm actually deploying this, here is the UI sound scene, or node really. It doesn't contain any scenes. And as the route path, I selected UI because all of the UI is spawned below that. So all the buttons that I need to interface with are going to be below that. There's a bunch of them. There's also a bunch of non-buttons, but we're going to skip them. We'll detect what is a button, what isn't, and we're going to only operate on buttons. Okay, so we have our route path defined. Great. Now we need the audio stream players. And we also need to load the audio streams, so the actual audio files. All right, so I'm defining an array, actually a dictionary. I'm defining string names for the actual audio files. So I'm taking, let's say, UI click. I can do F2, copy the name, and paste it here. I'm going to make this a string name, so I'm adding ampersand before the string. That makes it a string name. String names are a special version of strings which are way faster to compare. They are made specifically to be used as unique identifiers. This is no longer a unique identifier, of course. And then we can just go and make a stream player for that, right? Let's call this UI click 2 because it's already used. So now we have we can access an audio stream player just by referencing our sounds dictionary with the identifier of the sound. Okay. So we have the audio stream players spawned, but they haven't have nothing defined for them. Okay. Let's go to the ready function of this node. And here we're going to first iterate over our defined sounds. So I'm going to for I in sounds.keys. This will iterate over the set of these string names. If I went over I in sounds, it would iterate over the sound players. I don't want that because then I don't know what should I assign there. We're going to use the string names to load appropriate sound files into the stream player, into the audio stream players. So we're going for every key, so the string name in our dictionary. There are 2 right now, but we can have more. So for sounds, this is referencing the stream player stored under the key, so the string name. So this actually gets the audio stream player, and to its stream, we assign a resource that we're loading, which is located in resources, assets, SFX. This is this directory, basically. So you can just click and drag and you'll have it. Then we concatenate with this with a string of I, which is the key. So we get this string, right? So our path to the resource now looks like res assets SFX UI underscore hover or UI underscore click. And then we just attach the file extension at the end to make this a complete file path. Great. We load the audio stream. Cool. So now if we reference and do play, it's going to play. But there are some more things I want to do. I want to assign each of these audio stream players to a specific bus on my mixer, because I want to be able to mute all the UI sounds or control their loudness independently of other sounds in my game, like music, the announcer, shooting weapons, etc. So in the audio tab in Godot, you have your mixer. I've muted a bunch of buses right now, so the M's are highlighted in red just to reduce the audio clutter. And we have the UI bus. You can add a bus just by clicking add bus. You give it a name. You can do it like UI or interface. And you can do whatever. You can add some effects. By default, all the buses are rooted to master. And this is your master. I'm adding a limiter just to avoid clipping in case something gets too loud. And now we have a bus for our sounds. We need to assign our sound players to this bus. Because if we have an audio stream player, I'm just going to add one. It has a bus drop down, so we can select which bus it is going to use. And if in the UI, we can just click and select, right? But we don't have that because we're doing this in code. So we need to somehow do it in code. How we do it is we go soundplayer.bus and we assign the string name of the bus. So we just copy this and we assign it here. We make it a string name. Actually, if there are no spaces, we can just do this. Or can we? No, we can't. Okay. Yeah, so now this is assigning our sound players to this interface bus, and all the sounds are gonna play here. If I would play this, it would be on the interface bus. I'm gonna undo because I may have a UI bus and I don't need another one. Delete bus. Right. Okay. Well, everything that's left is to add the sound player, the sound audio stream player node to the scene tree. So we're going to go add child and this audio stream player. This is going to spawn at the audio stream player node under our root node in this scene. Because if we're not specifying anything, add child runs on this node that we're actually running the script on. Okay. Now, the smart part. So we need to scan our scene, find all the buttons, and assign them to play our sounds. I've defined a function for that because we will need to run this recursively. So I've made a function called install sounds, and I'm starting this function using our search path, our root path defined. And in this function, we just take a node and we get all the children of the node specified. Note that this is all the immediate children. We're not getting the whole hierarchy. We're just getting the immediate children, not the grandchildren, right? So in case of menu, if I go get children of the UI node, which is my search root, I'm going to get menu shadow, main menu, player, blah, 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 background map, etc. But nothing underneath these. So I'm going to go the top bar, but not the version audio stream player under these, right? Only the direct immediate children. So then we check if the child is a button. Simple as that. If it is a button, we take that node and we connect its mouse entered signal, which means mouse over, hover, etc. We connect that signal to a lambda function that runs another function that we specify, UI SFX play. And we pass the string name of the sound effect we want to play. So we're gonna pass this or that, right? So we define a lambda function, which just calls this function on our local node with the parameter that specifies which sound to play. So we connect mouse entered to UI hover and pressed to UI click. So we have different sound effects for different events. And our UI SFX play takes a string name and it uses this string name to reference a correct audio stream player node and just triggers the sound. And that's all. And it just works, you know? It adds sounds to all the buttons in my user interface. Of course, there are more possible nodes, so we can then go elif I is, for example, line edit. And then with line edit, for example, which is a node that allows us to edit text. For example, in user profile menu, we can change the user display name. Here it is. And this is a line edit node. What signals does a line edit node has? We can go to node. There's a text changed. So this is going to be triggered every time we type a character or remove a character. So we can use that to create a typewriter sound. Okay, let's go to our UI sounds. If the found node is a line edit, i.change text changed. And you see, Godot is very smart because it sees that, okay, we're checking if I is a line edit. If it is a line edit, then we can treat this variable as if it's a line edit node. And it autocompletes all the signals that a line edit node has, which is brilliant, I think. So we connect this signal to a lambda function, so func, open, close, parentheses, colon, UI, SFX play, and we specify a string name. Let's go UI message. I don't have a specific sound prepared. I'm just gonna insert a space to make it clearer to read that this is a lambda function. And of course we can also do mouse entered, because I believe it also has a mouse entered signal. So I'm just going to copy this Does it has a pressed mouse? Pressed? No, but it gonna has a text submitted. And we can use that, play the UI click sound. Or actually, no, we can use a different one. We can use UI accept. And while we're at it, Ctrl-Shift-D will duplicate the current line. We can go cancel and do this for the text change rejected signal. Okay, now we just need to uncomment these extra sounds that we've defined before. Right. So we're going to assign different signals to a button and different signals to a line edit node. Timothy Qiu says that lambda can be replaced by binding the parameter to the callable, if I recall, like mouseEnter.connect UI sfx play.bind at UI hover. Oh, okay, so we can pass a parameter in the connection without. Okay, let's see. This might be a smart thing. So i.mouseEntered.connect. Right, now we're not specifying a lambda function. Now we're just calling UI sfx play directly. And we're not calling it. We're binding our mouse entered UI underscore hover. So now we are working around and we're not using a lambda function, which is going to be less memory intensive, I guess. Okay, let's see if that will work. So I will replace my previous lambda function approach with this binding, and we'll see what happens if this mouse over event is going to work for line edit. Okay, the final ingredient to installing sounds is recursion. That means we've found all the immediate children of every node. We found the immediate children of our root node. Now for every of the child, so we're still in the for loop, we also run the install sounds method or function, which now is going to go through all the immediate children of that child, and then all the immediate children of that child, etc., until we're scanned the entire scene tree, starting from our selected root node. Let's try this. I'm going to save it, I'm going to start the game, and we'll see what happens. So before, I only had sounds for button hover and button click, also known as button mouse entered and button pressed. Okay. Button sounds work. Now for the line edits. The hover sound works. Typing doesn't seem to make a sound. Okay. Let's go proceed without login, user profile, let's see here. Okay, this doesn't seem to play any sounds. Interesting. Not sure why. Text submitted, text changed, UI message. We can debug this by the mouse overworked, so we can use binding instead of lambda functions. So actually we can do this with shift. No, how is alt? Yeah. So with alt we can insert multiple typing cursors. I don't want to have this one though. And we can do that, and then do this, and then do bind, and that's that. Oh, I forgot one. Okay. UI.bind. Cool. And I broke this. Okay, this USFX sound returns void. Okay, so now everything is done with binding to the callable instead of Lambda functions. Let's try again. I'm going to start the game. Thank you, Timothy Qiu. Timothy Qiu. I hope I'm reading this correctly. Not sure why line edit events don't play, but everything works. So, yeah. I think we should test if line edit has... yeah, that's weird. I don't know why line edit doesn't trigger. We can try and do a debug print. Playing sound. Oh, we can also do print s, or print t, which is going to separate parameters with a tab or a space. Playing sound. Right. We can also check if the sound player node has... No, wait, it does. It doesn't. It has to have a string, a stream. Okay, let's try again. F5. There is going to be a bunch of prints, so maybe I should run this in a smaller scene. I'm just going to move away the window and we'll see what happens. Playing sound UI hover. Playing sound UI click. Playing sound UI hover. And when I'm typing in the line edit, it doesn't play anything. Yep. Okay, that's interesting. But this is outside of the scope of this tutorial. That's a topic for a different video. I don't want to spend time digging through this right now. All right, so this is how you assign sounds quickly, efficiently, without digging through your entire project and making a mess of it. I hope you've learned something. I hope this was useful. And that's all, I guess. Oh, by the way, this channel is called Liblast. I'm working on a game. I'm making a game called Liblast. I'm the lead of the project, and there's a bunch of contributors as well. A little team. And this game is a free and open source multiplayer FPS in the works using Godot 4. And also we're doing everything with open source software, starting from hosting, which is done on Codeberg, ending to team communication, which is done on Rocket Chat, etc., and designing using Excalibur and all the assets being done with open source software as well, both audio and visual assets, everything. If you're interested, you can subscribe to this channel and you'll see some development updates from me or further tutorials if I'm going to be doing anything, or when I'm going to be doing anything, because I'm going to be doing various things. I'm just going to comment out this debug print. No need to clutter the output. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy your game dev journey.